Hi. Thank you so much for participating in the Lily Mae Francis Depression interview. And so I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Lynn Collins Mai. I am the co-founder of the Lily Mae Francis Foundation. And if you could introduce yourself by telling me your name, your age, and the state that you reside.
Yes, my name is John. I am 40 years old and I reside in the state of Georgia.
Okay. Thank you. All right. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump right into the questions. Okay.
Sure.
All right. First question. What is your definition of depression?
My definition of depression would be a mental illness that occurs when a person has a feeling that they can't associate with a particular problem.
Okay. Okay. And do you think most people experience depression from time to time?
I do. I think people experience all different forms of depression.
Okay.
And I think that you have some more extreme cases of depression, and then you have smaller cases of depression that can come from stress of a job, stress of managing a family, stress of things. Imagine you're in a situation where you're you don't have money at the moment,
Mhm.
and you can have a state of depression in that moment. But I think there are other people who deal with a form of chronic depression that comes and goes, and there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to it.
Okay. So different levels of depression.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Do you experience depression? And if so, how do you cope?
Uh, I've experienced depression. I've experienced depression in moments where things haven't gone as I would expect them in my job. Things haven't gone as I would expect them in my marriage. In the case of emergencies, I've had, any family emergencies, things going on with an elderly family member, where you can get depressed and you can feel like it's outside of your control.
Mhm.
And the way that I've dealt with depression is one, by talking. I'm very communicative. So I will find someone that is close to me, someone that I can confide in and really just open up to them. Have that person that I can just talk to. Another way that I kind of handle depression is to really kind of try to get out of my own head, take a walk,
Mhm.
exercise, engage. I've engaged with other people on fun activities, go and do things that might be outside of my comfort zone in order to put myself in a situation that kind of allows me not to think about that item which has caused me to be depressed.
Okay. I think you have really good coping mechanisms in place already. So that's good. Good to hear. All right. Do you think enough attention and focus is given to mental illness and why?
I do not. I think we're coming around to it, but I think most people see it as um, just you like a you need to get over it kind of mentality. People don't see things as a mental health issue. They see them as, oh, well, this person's being a baby, or this person just can't deal with the pressure of the job, or this person's just not a good insert thing here, parent, spouse, friend, rather than really kind of taking a step back and looking at what this person could be going through. So no, at the moment, I don't believe we have good structures in place to handle mental illness, to identify mental illness, and to combat mental illness.
Okay. If you had a friend or loved one experiencing depression or signs of mental illness, what advice would you give?
My biggest form of advice would be not to keep it to themselves, to try to talk to somebody.
Mhm.
Just um, have a conversation with somebody. And when you do, one of the things that I've seen, if I'm in a depressed state or someone I know is in a depressed state, they don't necessarily need you to tell them how to fix it.
Mm.
Don't find somebody who wants to fix the problem. Find somebody who wants to be empathetic and simply listen. And that's what you need, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm losing you a little bit, like in the frame. Okay, I think you're a little better. Okay. Do you know where to find resources if someone was having a mental health crisis?
Absolutely not.
And I'm sure that's because right now most people don't, right? I don't, right? I think our first thought is 911. I mean, I don't know what else to do because it hasn't been shared, or at the very least, it's not made readily available like 911 was made readily available, right? So I think that it would do us better for someone to share that information so that everyone has it available to them so that they can help. So
You see commercials or statements at the end of TV shows that will tell you, hey, if you or someone you know is dealing with mental depression, here. But you don't see commercials. You don't see now. I mean, I show my age when I say commercials, but when you think about social media posts, you see TikToks, things like that. You don't see anything that are readily available and people trying to go viral with mental health awareness messages.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
in the same way, if you remember, I don't know that they still go on, but there used to be the truth commercials
Mm,
that had to do with smoking.
mhm.
To,
Oh, yeah.
there were always commercials about smoking. These kind of commercials, having these kind of open, constantly aware billboards, social media ads, so on and so forth about mental health would go a long way to helping someone like me know where to go if somebody's having a problem.
Absolutely. Okay. Why do you think there's such a stigma attached to depression and mental illness in our communities?
Uh, Speaking of the male community specifically, um, machoism. There's a man's not supposed to cry.
Mm,
I've grown up with, my parents never told me a man's not supposed to cry, but I've grown up with that mentality to the point where my wife can sometimes call me a robot because
mm,
she says, hey, you don't show emotion. Well, I grew up in a time where you weren't supposed to show emotion. If you
mm,
showed emotion, you weren't strong. You weren't capable of a leadership role. You weren't capable of managing a family. I think the reason now why these stigmas exist is because, well, if I'm a leader, if I'm a CEO, if I'm in a VP level position and I have a mental illness, well, I'm not fit to be in that role. Um, I'm not fit to be in an education role or a visible role in customer service if I have this, because it shows that an organization is less than. And I think it's a stigma that's still present today.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I really appreciate that response. Thank you for that. And our last question is, how do you think we can start having regular conversations as it pertains to mental health in general?
I think that on a one-to-one level, we need as individuals to come back together and start caring about one another to the point where when we do talk to somebody and we ask them, how are you? We're not asking, how are you in the same way we say hello. We're asking, how are you? Because it's an outlet for you to tell me how you are.
Mhm.
We need to not judge one another, and we need to understand and have a sense of empathy in ourselves and our nation as a whole. Division, these things all cause us to not care. We are so busy with the proliferation of work from home and COVID, and getting back into everybody going back to work. The hustle of the American dream causes us to not care about the person next to us,
Mm,
to not care about the driver in front of us. We don't care what someone else was going through. We just want our latte from Starbucks. We don't care how you were feeling today. And
mm,
we really need to get back to a state of caring. And then if I put my Christian hat on, it is really try to center ourselves around the principles that Jesus taught us. And that is to love one another and do unto others as you would have done unto you. And I really think as a nation, if we can come back together and we can really start looking at people as individuals instead of a means to an end, we can really start addressing mental health in our communities.
Mm. Wow, John, this has been awesome. I mean, I truly appreciate you taking the time today and your well thought out answers. And I think you hit it on the nose when you said that we need to start caring more, right? And I don't think that we could have said it better than that. So, but I do want to thank you, John, for your time today, for taking the opportunity to give me some answers on depression for the Lily Mae Francis Foundation. So, thank you so much.
No problem at all. Thank you.